Many people have heard of the Kola superdeep well, but even tourists passing by often don't know about the nearby experimental facility. In the 1970s, Soviet scientists conducted a stunning experiment. The lithosphere was pierced for dozens of kilometers, and the column of smoke was such that Norway feared that the Soviets had used prohibited weapons. But what was the real purpose of the researchers? In the late 70s on the Kola Peninsula, under conditions of special secrecy, Soviet specialists conducted an unusual and very dangerous experiment. According to the recollections of a few eyewitnesses, who at that time were in the area of Motovsky Bay, they heard a strong rumble, which was amplified and echoed off the mountains. Then a huge mushroom-shaped explosive cloud appeared over the sea. It increased in size with every second. Panic gripped the people. The rumble made their ears ache. Some were dizzy. What was it? A nuclear explosion or the aftermath of some man-made accident? That same day, Norway detected strong underground pulses. They assumed that the Soviet Union had conducted a series of underground nuclear explosions on the Kola Peninsula. Then they sent their protest to the Soviet government. In fact, the Soviet Union had not conducted any nuclear tests. They were the consequences of a short electric shock of monstrous power. The charge spread out to sea, forming powerful loops with a radius of 100 kilometers. Today we will talk about a little-known and unusual experiment, which was conducted more than 40 years ago and has long remained in the memory of eyewitnesses. This is the Wisioner channel. In the late 50s the Soviet Union began an active study of the deep interior of the Earth in order to comprehensively study the lithosphere. A program of drilling ultra-deep wells was created. According to this program, construction of parametric wells began throughout the Soviet Union. Wells with depths from X to 7 kilometers were called deep wells, and wells deeper than 7 kilometers were called ultra-deep wells. Scientists recognized that their knowledge of the deep structure of the continental Earth's crust was very superficial. Ultra-deep boreholes could provide information about the structure of the lithosphere, as well as unlock the mystery of unexplained occurrences of deep zones of overpressure, not corresponding to the weight of overlying rocks. One of the world's deepest mining excavations was the Kola experimental superdeep well located 12 kilometers from the town of Zapolyarny. The location was not chosen by chance. Very ancient rock on the Kola Peninsula comes to the surface. Scientists were interested to find out what is under it. They assumed that at a depth of 7 kilometers the granite would be replaced by stronger basalt, but this did not happen. Behind the granite formation, unstable rock began to form, which clamped the drill pipes. One day, during drilling, a strange event occurred, which scientists have never been able to explain. At a great depth, a noise of unknown rock was recorded, followed by a strong explosion. The head of the work, academician David Guberman, commented on this case, "When I reflect on this mysterious story, I do not know what to answer. I cannot explain the nature of this strange noise followed by a strong explosion." Sometime later, at the same depth, we recorded nothing more. At a depth where it was thought that there were no organics, the researchers found several species of fossilized microorganisms. It was a real sensation. The rock was over 2.5 billion years old. This meant that the planet was older than scientists had thought. And at great depths, a new sensation awaited the researchers. Methane was found there in large quantities. For the scientific world, it was an unpleasant surprise. This discovery required adjusting the ideas about the origin of such hydrocarbons as oil and gas. Few people know that a top-secret experiment on deep electromagnetic sounding of the lithosphere of the Baltic Shield was conducted not far from the Kola borehole. It consisted in passing a powerful electric charge through the ground and measuring resistances at different depths. Thus, knowing the resistance of different rocks, it was possible to calculate what is hidden deep in the bowels of the Earth. A magnetohydrogenerator was installed. It is a powerful power plant in which the energy of a working body moving in a magnetic field is converted into electrical energy. Motovsky Bay was connected to Malaya Volkova Bay by a 7-kilometer, 160-ton aluminum cable. Due to the low total resistance of the cable, 50% of its power, 80,000 megawatts, was extracted from the magneto-hydrodynamic generator. The current inside the circuit was 22,000 amperes, and it was strictly forbidden to be in the experimental area. The powerful charge could burn all living things in the area. A day before the experiment, all roads and mountain passes were closed. Helicopters flew over the area to make sure that at the time of the test there would be no accidental people in the zone of action. The magneto-hydrodynamic generator was set in motion. A powerful charge of 22,000 amperes went 30 kilometers into the ground. Participants in the experiment saw a huge column of fire and smoke. The few eyewitnesses who were outside the area of the experiment heard a strong rumble. It gradually increased and reverberated off the rocks, getting louder every second. They saw a large mushroom cloud rising into the sky. It was growing and rippling. Panic gripped the people. They thought there had been a nuclear explosion. But after a few minutes, the echo of the explosion over Motovsky Bay was silent. On the same day, specialists from Norway, with the help of equipment, recorded powerful underground pulses. They were completely bewildered. After an emergency meeting, it was assumed that the Soviet Union had carried out a series of nuclear underground explosions on the Kola Peninsula. Norway sent a note of protest to the Soviet Union. The deep electroprobing was successful and allowed scientists to obtain new data on the structure of the lithosphere of the Baltic Shield. Information was obtained on the electrical conductivity of the Earth's crust and upper mantle. Specialists studied the deep structure of ore-bearing structures. The structures revealed promising zones of mineral deposits. Unexpected for the researchers was the discovery they found in the Earth's crust through conductive channels, through which the current spreads horizontally for hundreds of kilometers, and between them electronically conducting graphite structures. After the experiment, the Presidium of the Academy of Sciences developed a program to investigate the Earth's crust in the oil and gas regions of the Soviet Union using the geoelectric method. The program was planned for the mid-80s, but at that time in the country there were preconditions of crisis phenomena. At the same time, it was suggested that this research program has no applied value. The magneto-hydrodynamic generator located on the Kola Peninsula was abandoned. Gradually it was dismantled for metal. The unique equipment ended up in scrap metal collection points. Now only ruins are left from the object, in the form of concrete bases, on which the installation stood. Many people who come here do not even know what kind of experiment was conducted on this territory half a century ago.